live from WTVO Rockford and your home team. Eyewitness News at 5 starts now.
People who are out and about try to beat the heat. We'll hear from some local park goers as they deal with the temperatures and have a great time.
A local park district's ready to officially pull the plug on a popular swimming pool, but that doesn't mean an end to the community's aquatic future.
And 2 State Line boys get the ride of a lifetime. First responders hope they've sparked curiosity in a future career. Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Eric Wilson. With the heat index, today's temperatures feel like they are into the 100s. That caused the Ski Bronx water ski team to cancel its show tonight.
Excessive heat warnings are still in place all over the state line for today and tomorrow. Let's head back over to Candace for more on this very humid forecast.
Yeah, today is one of the hottest days we've felt so far this summer season, with that temperature getting into the upper 90s. In fact, it is the hottest day that we've had. And to kind of put this into perspective, our dew point temperatures, which is the amount of moisture we have, a measure of the amount of moisture we have in the atmosphere, in the low 80s. Now, going back to the early 1950s, this has only happened a total of 17 times here in Rockford, with that dew point temperature hitting 80 degrees or above. So that does not happen very often here, and the end result of that has been to push those heat index numbers, or that feels like temperature, up to 115 and even 120 in a couple of spots. So it's no wonder that that excessive heat warning continues not only throughout the day today, but it also continues into tomorrow evening for everyone. So southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, as tomorrow is likely to be just as hot. When we look at our numbers here going through the rest of this evening, by the time we get to 7 o'clock, heat index still at 109. By the time we get to sunset tonight, you are still looking at a triple-digit heat index number. And notice these do not drop until after about 9 or even 10 o'clock this evening. And even then, our numbers through midnight, this is the feels like temperature, going to stay close to 90 and then in the 80s for tomorrow morning. Actual air temperature likely to drop down to about 78, 79 degrees. So very little relief coming up here for the night tonight. Forecast high for tomorrow, 98. Heat index values 105 to 115 once again for tomorrow afternoon. So any extended period of time outdoors really can do a number for you, especially if with this type of heat. So you've got heat exhaustion and heat stroke, the signs and symptoms of that. Good news, we get a break from that here in the days to come. Bad news, we may see a couple of thunderstorms with that, but looking forward to the weekend forecast most definitely, guys. That will be coming up a little later.
All right, thanks, Candace. Here's a reminder of more of those cooling centers in the state line. Rock County added some to our list yesterday. That includes the Beloit Public Library and the Transit Center, the lobby of the Janesville Senior Center, and the former Janesville Mall, now known as Uptown Janesville. Those are all open. You can find a full list of places to cool off at mystateline.com. As the heat ramps up here in the state line, many people are looking for ways just to stay cool.
Nikel Delgado visited a few local splash pads. Nikel, those are popular places right now.
That's right, Eric and Mimi. While some people I talk to dread this heat, others say they think as long as they pay attention to their body, this is the perfect day for a little bit of splash.
How are you guys staying cool?
By getting in the water and staying fresh.
Belvedere locals Karina Hernandez and her kids are cooling off in this August heat by hitting the water.
I like to take it in because then winter days come and then we're stuck inside all the time. So in the summer, I like to get out with the kids. So we can come here, we go to the pool, we like going to lakes.
In the middle of this heat wave, you can find instant cool water with just a push of a button at Belvedere's Doty Park Spray Ground.
Do you guys like the summertime? Do you like this heat?
Yes. No.
Sometimes.
Yes,
sometimes. If it gets too hot, then
we go to the water.
Feels so yucky.
Yeah. I don't like when it's too hot because your ice cream melts.
Others like Holly Peck traveled from McChesney Park to have something cool to do.
It's just good to have a place to go to burn up some energy for them and just keep them hydrated and have a good time.
In Rockford, there are over a dozen spray pads sprinkled across the city. Rockford Park District's Laura Gibbs Green says during this extreme heat, it's important to play it safe.
When you're playing in the water, you just still have to remember to hydrate and play it safe, and take time to step in the shade and make sure you're applying the sunscreen. All those things that you normally would do are really important no matter what type of water that you're playing in. So whether it's a sprinkler or anything else.
And Holly agrees.
We're drinking lots of water. We have like a cooling towel we use sometimes, and we're just not going to stay out too long.
Both families are taking advantage of the warm days we have left.
So I really like to take in, you know, the summer, the heat, because then it's cold before you know it.
Those spray pads in Rockford are turned on from 1 until 8 p.m. during the heat. The Rockford Park District is also moving a lot of activities inside tonight and tomorrow. You can find a list of those spray pads as well as information on any heat cancellations or closures on mystateline.com. Mimi?
All right, thanks, Nicole. A popular local pool is set to be demolished. Belvedere Park District Board voted last night to demolish the William Grady Pool. The company Northern Illinois Services was chosen to carry out the process. The demolition will cost more than $340,000. The decision to retire the pool was made due to its age and extreme mechanical issues. Future plans for aquatic sites will be presented to the board at the end of September.
The local health department gets a new piece of life-saving equipment. The Boone County Health Department unveiled its mobile clinic. Boone County won a nationally competitive grant, beating out more than 80 other entities. The clinic will provide services for the almost 54,000 people in the county. Illinois' Women, Infants, and Children Program Director says this is all about increasing access.
I was watching the gas prices driving up here today. Gas is getting more and more expensive. Our families have very limited budgets, and some of them have to travel pretty far to get into the city from out and about in the whole of the county. And so whenever we can get those services to them, all the better.
Boone County Health Department's finalizing the program requirements for the grant with the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Two State Line boys got a unique ride to school. Zayden and his best friend Finn won a raffle put on by Oregon Fire. The lottery was for a chance to ride to school in a fire truck. And by the looks of it, both boys had a great time. Oregon Fire hopes to see these two looking to join the department sometime in the future. An eviction serving turns dangerous in Pittsburgh.
Coming up, bullets fly during a standoff. Hours later, it ends with the suspect dead.
And a special graduation ceremony is held for several young adults. We'll hear from Rockford's mayor on the future of construction in the Forest City.
You're watching Eyewitness News, your home team, with Eric Wilson, Mimi Murphy, Scott Leber, and Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
Police respond to an active shooter situation in Pittsburgh.
Hours later, the suspect is dead. The emergency scene started this morning. A man barricaded himself inside a home and started shooting. One police sergeant was hurt trying to avoid the gunfire, but should be okay. The suspect also shot down a pair of police drones. People nearby were evacuated. According to the Pittsburgh ABC station, the suspect was pronounced dead about an hour ago.
Atlanta jail prepares for former President Donald Trump to turn himself in tomorrow.
Officials have already processed some of Trump's co-defendants in the case, which accuses the former president and his allies of election interference. Washington, D.C. correspondent Hannah Brandt explains what happens next.
Former U.S. Attorney Rudy Giuliani is now defiantly fighting from the other side of the justice system as an accused criminal.
I'm fighting for justice. I have been from the first moment. I represented Donald Trump, an innocent man who has now been proven innocent several times.
Giuliani surrendered at the Fulton County Jail on Wednesday. He's one of former President Trump's 18 co-defendants in a case where prosecutors allege they tried to overturn the results of Georgia's 2020 presidential election.
They're dishonest, they're crooked, they want to destroy the Constitution of the United States, and they're doing it.
Former Trump attorney John Eastman also surrendered this week.
My legal team and I will vigorously contest every count of the indictment in which I have been named.
As the former president deals with his legal troubles, his rivals are preparing for the Republican presidential debate tonight.
You know what I think leadership is? Actually showing up to the debate. And Ron DeSantis is here, and he's going to be pointed at by everybody else on that stage while someone else is hiding in the basement.
Congressman Chip Roy is criticizing Trump for deciding to skip the debate. But Congressman Matt Gaetz says the former president has nothing to prove. And he says Trump's plan to surrender at the Fulton County Jail on Thursday will smother debate coverage.
Certainly, President Trump would rather not be indicted than be indicted. But if you're going to have to pay the piper, you might as well dance. And there's no master of political timing quite like President Trump.
Trump says instead of the debate, he sat down for an interview with Tucker Carlson, which is scheduled to air online at the same time. In Washington, I'm Hannah Brandt.
It's a very humid day across the state line.
Up next, Candace looks at where our temps topped out and whether we'll see any relief Thursday.
Now, your first warned weather forecast from Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
Hazy, hot, and humid. That is a great way to describe the weather out there this afternoon. We have had few and far between as far as any cloud cover going on this afternoon, which has just allowed those temperatures to climb. We take a live look with our SkyTrack camera out in Freeport at the Park Hills Golf Course. There's been a breeze today, but it has done little to help us with any of that heat, as temperatures this afternoon have made it into the mid and upper 90s, but that heat index factor climbing well up over 100 degrees. 97 our current number here in Rockford, 95 in Freeport, 93 in Rochelle, 94 in Poplar Grove. But when you factor in those dew point temperatures up around 80 degrees, in fact, we are talking about some of the highest dew point temperatures we have ever had since beginning of 1950 across the region. It makes it feel more like 118 in Savannah, 117 here in Rockford, 110 in Rochelle, and 117 currently that heat index factor down in Sterling. 115, that's what it feels like right now for Terry and Genoa. Actual air temperature 95. Look at this dew point temperature 81. I mean, this is just uncomfortable. In fact, some of the highest dew point readings across the country coming in. Southwesterly wind at 14 miles per hour. We'll maintain that breeze as we go through the remainder of this evening, and then it'll pick back up going into the afternoon tomorrow. Unfortunately, there's not much relief going into the afternoon tomorrow, so that excessive heat warning, not only does that continue throughout the night tonight, but it also goes into tomorrow evening. So temperatures tomorrow could be just as hot as what they are today, and that heat index factor too back up 110, 115. As we go throughout the rest of this evening, 7 o'clock, 109, that's what it'll feel like. We will not likely see these heat index temperatures drop below 100 degrees until after sunset. Even then, it could be a little later, and we'll still stay in the 90s. By the time we get to midnight, it will still feel like 90 degrees outside. Actual air temperature down to 78, so a very humid night. Muggy along with some haze that'll continue. Temperature tomorrow up around 98. Late day isolated thunderstorm possible as we go into tomorrow afternoon. When we look at our heat index numbers, they are already ramping up by the time we get to 8, 9 o'clock, and then climbing by mid-morning tomorrow back up over 100 degrees. Staying over 100 throughout the afternoon, and then again, very similar to what we had today, not breaking until we get towards tomorrow evening. So when we look at some of these numbers more specifically across the area, tomorrow morning, this is just before sunrise, upper 80s, low 90s. That heat index factor expected to climb very quickly for tomorrow afternoon, but there is that cold front that comes in, so that brings a little relief once we get into tomorrow night, but it also brings in the chance for a couple of thunderstorms. Any storm activity, I think, throughout this evening is going to stay down away from us. We are going to stay mostly dry here, and then kind of working a little further to the east. As we go throughout the day tomorrow, again, we are staying mostly dry. Cold front comes in. Futurecast doesn't show it, but a small chance for a shower thunderstorm, and a couple of stronger ones could be possible there as we go throughout that time. We may see a little extra cloud cover coming on Friday as a weak disturbance kind of works in during that time, and that will keep our temperatures into the 80s, but still feeling a little on the muggy side when we look at that 7-day forecast. So 87 degrees on Friday, 80 on Saturday, upper 70s on Sunday. Weekend looks a lot better. Downfall to this though, guys, yes, we cool things off, but notice there's very little rain in that forecast. So we get into a pretty dry pattern through the end of the month.
It's nice to see all that relief on the weekend. Candace, thanks.
Wisconsin next with sports. The Cubs closed out their series in Detroit this afternoon on a good note.
And we'll find out where some of our high school football teams show up in the preseason state rankings.
Now sports with sports director Scott Lever.
If the Cubs keep winning series, they will be playing ball in the postseason. They have now won 9 of the last 11 series after winning another today in Detroit. Pick it up in the top of the third. Cody Bellinger with 2 runners on delivers a single. Both runners scored, and the Cubs went up 4-0. Bottom of the 6th, no change in the score until D.H. Kelly Carpenter did that. A grand slam off Jamison Tyone. That's Carpenter's first career grand slam and his 20th home run this season. The game is tied at 4. 8th inning now, Jan Gomes puts the Cubs back in the lead as he singled in Ian Happ. The Cubs later added an insurance run. And Adbert Alzolay came in to close things out in the ninth, and he did just that, his 19th save. The Cubs won 6-4 to take 2 out of 3 from the Tigers. But the Cubs did not gain ground on the Brewers because they scored twice in the bottom of the 10th inning in Milwaukee to edge the Twins 8-7. So the Cubs are still 3.5 games behind the Brewers. The White Sox also played in the heat this afternoon. They edged the Mariners 5-4. Trace Thompson had a double and a home run, and Michael Kopech pitched 4 scoreless innings. On the preseason AP high school football rankings are out. 2 of our local teams are ranked number 1 in the state in their classes. There are no local teams ranked in the top 10 in 7A or 6A. Now in Class 5A, Sycamore is ranked 6th, and in Class 4A, Boylan is ranked 5th, and Rochelle, coming off a deep playoff run last year, is 10th. In Class 3A, the Byron Tigers are number 1, and they returned 7 starters on offense, 8 on defense from a Final Four team. Stillman Valley is ranked 8th in 3A. There are no local teams ranked in 2A, but in 1A, just the opposite. Lena Winslow, coming off 3 straight state championships, is number 1. Fulton is 3rd, Forston is 4th, and Dakota is ranked 10th. The NIU men's hoops basketball team has a very interesting schedule for the upcoming season. The Huskies will open at Marquette on Monday, November 6th. Marquette won the Big East regular season tournament and tournament championship and regular season championship last season. The Huskies are going to host Appalachian State in the MAC Sunbelt Challenge. And around Thanksgiving time, the Huskies will play at DePaul and at Northwestern. And on Friday, December 29th, they'll face another Big Ten team, the Iowa Hawkeyes in Iowa City. That's sports. We'll be right back.
So once we get through tonight and tomorrow, your forecast looks pretty nice.
Yeah, more typical of where we should be coming to the end of August. I mean, but we've got some really big time heat coming up here. We were just talking during the commercial break about how our windows got all the moisture on it from the high humidity.
That's how you know how bad buildings are sweating.
Yeah.
At Rock Valley College today, I walked into a building, and a door in the shade was sweating. There's condensation on it.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable out there. So any prolonged period of time outdoors, you just got to make sure that you're really taking care of yourself. And tomorrow will be more of the same. We do have a chance for thunderstorms by the evening. Temperatures then will drop a little bit as we get into Friday, but the overnight lows tonight, 78, 98 tomorrow, heating index back up to 115.
Thanks, Candace.
Stay safe.